Welcome to Movie Recap, a channel dedicated to those addicted to movies. Our focus is to showcase the best recap of your favorite flick. Sit back, grab your popcorn and get ready to be amazed by the way back. Suddenly leaving the game for unspecified reasons was Jack Cunningham, the star basketball player in high school. Many years later, his wife and his hopes for a better life were destroyed by alcoholism, which has left him struggling with a pointless job. Yet Jack soon gets his chance at atonement when he takes a job coaching basketball at his old mater, a program that has struggled since Jack's adolescent glory days. Spoilers ahead. Jack Cunningham, a reclusive and backbreaking worker on a construction site. When he takes a smoke break, he drinks coffee and gets ready to head home with a beer. Later, he takes a shower with an open beer can in front of him after drinking at a local bar. Sal, an old buddy, recognizes Jack on Thanksgiving Day and inquires about his family's preparations. Jack declines with grace and a dismissive explanation. Although Jack arrives at his sister's house belatedly, he says hello to his mother, brother-in-law, niece, and nephew. He tells his nephew a tale about their pet fish while cracking open a beer can. Later, when Beth and Jack are by themselves in the kitchen, she queries whether he is dating anyone. She says that Angie's wife, Angie, is concerned about him. Jack is perplexed and shocked that Angie called Beth instead of calling him directly to inquire about him. Beth says that every night at Harold's bar, she sees Jack's truck, according to what her friend Kathy Collins informed her. Jack taunts Kathy Collins for being overweight out of rage about the questioning and insinuations. After learning which of Beth's 20 bedrooms he can spend the night in, he ends the discussion. When Jack gets home the following day, he receives two messages from his friends. One is an invitation to his son's birthday party, and the other is from Father Divine, the former high school principal. An official at Bishop Hayes High School extends a cordial welcome to Jack upon his arrival. Father Divine greets him warmly and expresses his excitement at his return. Jack's identity is confirmed when he spots a trophy case filled with accolades and a basketball jersey. Father Divine and Jack talk about Jack's choice to not coach basketball again and their basketball coach's heart attack. Father Divine informs Jack that they haven't made the playoffs since Jack last played, and they talk about the importance of their upcoming game and the team's performance. Father Divine advises Jack to give it some thought even though he acknowledges that he hasn't coached previously and hasn't played in years. Jack practices his justifications for not coaching the basketball team when he is in his apartment. He practices sayings like, "I don't think I can help you, it's not the right time," and "I've been away from the game for so long." A few beers later, he changes his mind and adds, "Maybe." After finishing the case, he slurs his words and declares he has no desire to coach the squad. He collapses into the sofa. When Jack gets up the following morning, he walks into his high school gym and finds 10 basketball players practicing. Jack is introduced to Dan, the assistant coach and algebra teacher, who tells him that he played there a few years behind Jack. As Jack and Dan watch the players work out, they talk about their individual characteristics, styles, and statistics. Dan arranges the players so that Jack can introduce himself. Jack highlights certain players and their three-point percentages. For example, their star player of the moment only made 34 of 130 shots, whilst a low-key guy made 25 of 40. The crew is listening to Jack when he speaks to them in a way that they have never heard before. Dan gives Jack the office keys, game balls, and a flash drive with the current sets they run after practice. Given that his mother has multiple sclerosis and doesn't have the time for it, Jack questions Dan about why he declined the position of head coach. Jack inquires about the coat and tie required for the game. Jack discovers his jacket folded up in a box on the floor prior to his first game. He nervously shoves half of a container of Tic Tacs into his mouth as he hits the court after hearing noises from the packed gym from his office. Sitting with the team on the sidelines is Father Whalen, who serves as an assistant as well. He greets Jack and inquires about his well-being. "I'm anxious as hell," Jack responds. Bishop Hayes is defeated, 67-31. Following the game, Jack is seen cheerfully drinking at Harold's bar and cracking crude jokes with his friends. Jack's old pal Doc comes to his aid later on when he is staggering home after drinking. The following day, Jack has a beer in the shower and fills his coffee thermos with hard liquor on the way to work. He is shown coaching a different basketball match. He is watching from the sidelines, frustrated. The team is dealt yet another crushing blow. At home that evening, he reads his messages. Miguel reminds Jack once more in the opening message about his son's upcoming birthday celebration. Angie sent the second message. She left a message informing him that she would be in the area tomorrow to meet with a client and asking if he would be interested in meeting. The following day, Jack and Angie have lunch together and talk about their new careers, including Jack's coaching role. Angie wants Jack will change his ways and put his terrible past behind him. Jack inquires about how and when they met, but she doesn't know that Miguel called to discuss Jack's son's birthday celebration. Jack wants her to let her know that he is upset. Dan informs Jack that Kenny is missing before the upcoming basketball game, which is an away game. When Jack discovers him on the stairway chatting with a female, he leads him to the bus. Jack cautions him not to let Father catch him on the way. Bishop Hayes is being hosted by a sophisticated squad that features a state-of-the-art gym, fervent supporters, and cheerleaders. Dan has a private conversation with the coach of the other team, and Jack introduces himself. Bishop Hayes is playing carelessly, which is why the game is not going well for them. Jack urges his team to play aggressively, telling them that they are acting like a bunch of pung size. Bishop Hayes defeats 72-38 despite the guys' impressive maneuvers and obvious confidence when they return to the court. Jack is seated behind Father Whalen, who informs him of Bishop Hayes's code of conduct, which includes profanity. He informs Jack that winning games is not as essential as the players being men of integrity and religion. Father Whalen admits that he believes Christ cares about what he says to these children when Jack asks him if he thinks Christ gives a shit about it. Jack ignores Dan's warnings when he finds empty beer cans in his workplace. After driving to Harold's place, he sits in his truck and considers. Marcus arrives late for practice, so Jack issues a warning to him after introducing the diamond press to the team. Marcus's poor attitude in response causes Jack to be fired from the team. When the score is deadlocked in the following game, try harder, Father Whalen advises him. When Jax gives the squad a specific play call during their last timeout, they win 57-55. As Brandon, a shy but gifted player, is making his way home from school, Jack spots him and offers him some guidance. Asserting that he is the team's greatest player, Jack asks Brandon whether he would want to be named team captain. Upon reaching Brandon's residence, Jack is met with his father's dubious stare. Reassuringly, Jack waves to Brandon from his truck. Brandon shouts out plays and motions the following day, but Jack finds it difficult to speak loud enough in the gym. After a while, Brandon yells "F'ong AQ." Jack whispers to himself that he can hear it. The following day, Marcus shows up at Jack's apartment and says he wants to be back on the squad because his mother doesn't always have time after school. He accepts Jack's apology and is given the option of study halls or other flexible scheduling. Marcus breaks down in tears as he talks about how much he loves basketball and hates everything else. Jack reminds him to be at practice and chastises him for being late. Jack and Marcus join the team at the following practice, with Brandon serving as captain. Insinuating that Kenny is speaking to a girl, Brandon reaches out to him. In games, the squad performs better, acting more cohesively and with less carelessness. Even though the final scores are closer, Jack still swears at bad calls, calling them chicken shunked and bull shunked. Jack pushes the group to focus on doing small things well since they add up to large wins. While working at his construction job, Jack works on plays, making sure the team practices with a lot of intensity. He works out strategies and inspires them while promoting respect for the game. Although Kenny wears himself out running on the parquet floors, neither the coach nor the team assigns this punishment. The squad looks on from the bleachers, laughing at him while the three girls he has been crushing on stand on the sidelines and call the penalty. Angie and Jack, who are both gloomy and doubtful of their relationship, go to Miguel's son's birthday celebration. They talk about how they feel about Michael, who they used to think was friendly but is no longer in their inner circle. In contrast, Jack feels overtaken by the circumstances and misses his son. After berating Angie for getting a new job and dating a wealthy man while they were still married, he finally owns up to his error. A few days later, Jack receives a visit from Beth and her family, who are curious about the team's performance, at their apartment. The following game is a huge one, and during it Jack loses his cool and gets into a fight with the referee, Sal. Jack almost avoids being kicked out of the game as Father Whalen tries to quell the outburst by bellowing "Code of Conduct" at him. 60-63 is the Bishop Hayes loss. After the game, Jack is dropping Brandon off at home and apologizes for losing his cool. Jack is informed by Brandon that although his father had offered him a full basketball scholarship to Kansas, he had declined it. Telling Brandon that his father was proud of him for his basketball skills rather than for being a person, Jack confesses that he enjoyed playing the game. As Brandon attempts to make sense of it all, Jack informs him that his wife was instrumental in helping him kick drugs and never pick up a basketball again. To discuss Brandon's college recruitment letters for full scholarships, Jack gives the team a lot of motivational talk and suggests that the other team might have a superior coach. With a significant advantage, the visiting team plays sets like clockwork. Jack gives his players instructions to focus on the diamond press, the small details, and the fundamentals. Bishop Hayes picks up steam and closes the gap. Jack tells Brandon to disregard everything and make the shot himself as the team enters the court. Bishop Hayes wins 68-69 after Brandon makes the shot. Jack is hugged by Father Whalen and Dan as the fans go wild. Everyone is ecstatic, and the mascot is content. Jack smiles as he turns away from the craze. Next day, Jack gets a call from Angela. She tells him Miguel called her while sobbing. They later cross paths at the hospital. Jack is informed by Angela that Miguel's son developed a fever a few days ago and that it has been worse ever since. He's under sedation right now. Upon surveying the ward, we observe that all of the patients are young individuals who have experienced varying phases of cancer treatment. Jack and Angela are standing outside Miguel's son's room. They notice that the physician has just entered to inform Miguel and his spouse of the prognosis. We hear Miguel's wife scream in pain, "No, no." Jack is so deeply disturbed by this entire incident that he flees the hospital as soon as possible. He visits Harold's place and immediately starts drinking throughout the day, which turns into night drinking. Doc helped Jack upstairs to his flat again that night. Doc informs him that he too used to assist his father in climbing the stairs. The following morning, Jack discovers he has arrived late for basketball practice. He dashes to the gym from Harold's place, where he left his truck the previous evening. He is unkempt and hungover when he arrives. He informs Dan that he overslept because his apartment's electricity went out. Dan doesn't seem to believe him. Later, while he watches basketball video on his laptop, we witness Jack filling his coffee thermos with hard liquor. Unannounced, Dan and Father Divine show up at his workplace. Father Divine informs Jack that they must part ways with him. Dan admits to Jack that he lied when he said he was running late. He claimed that both he and the other team members could smell the alcohol on him. Jack implores him to allow him to remain so he may play in the postseason. He begs him, telling him how much he needs this job. Father Divine claims that they have a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of behavior and that he cannot be held accountable for letting him be near the boys in that way. Jack finds it difficult to remove the office key from his keyring and declares that this is all nonsense. Jack queries them about the team's coach in his absence. "You?" he asks mockingly, gesturing to Dan. "You teach King math," I said. A little bit later, we see him for the last time as head coach, strolling through the gym with sadness. Jack is enjoying a beer at the bar. The bartender pours him a shot and says she knows you, the blonde in the corner. She tells him to quit being a jack-off and come talk to her after the bartender gives him another shot and claims it's from the blonde a little while later. Jack is seen driving the blonde home while inebriated, acting clumsily. He strikes a parked automobile with his car and activates its alarm. She informs him that she lives right around the corner and that this is her neighbor's car. She advises him to head straight to her apartment by parking in the back. That is precisely what he does. Jack opens the refrigerator to check for beer as soon as he enters the apartment on the upper floor. Then he enters the restroom to urinate. A man with a baseball bat approaches him as he is using the restroom with the door open, asking him questions like, "Who the hell is he and what is he doing?" Even though he is inebriated, Jack discovers that he accidentally entered the wrong apartment. Jack learns from the man with the bat that he has made a police call. Jack tries to run away when he hears this, but he gets into a fight with the man with the bat and tumbles down the steps. He's broken, bloody, and passed out. Jack awakens in the medical facility. Beth is nestled comfortably on the chair beside him. She asks, "Can I get you anything?" She tells him he was discovered on the street by the cops. Dan may be seen informing the boys that Jack will no longer be leading the team. Next, we witness Jack crying during a rehab therapy session. The therapist informs him that she has observed that he rarely discusses his son. He informs her of the tumors in his son's brain and spine. He tells her about his screams during his seizures and the 30 rounds of radiation he endured. Jack is instructed by the therapist to consider Michael and what he would desire for Jack. She explains to Jack that although he cannot alter the past, he can alter his course going forward. Angie pays Jack a visit in recovery. Jack informs her that he ought to have visited the rehab center long ago. He admits to her that he failed her, their son, and their marriage. He clarifies that by neglecting his mother, he betrayed their son. Jack expresses his hope that she will recognize the guy she once imagined he would be. He apologizes profusely to her. They give each other a strong hug. The Bishop Hayes team is shown traveling to the opening round of the playoffs by bus. Then, Jack's mother Beth and her family are shown visiting him at the treatment facility. It's a fantastic visit. Jack is more relaxed and forthcoming. Dan's cell phone rings as we watch Jack's family departing. Jack is calling ahead of the game. Father Whalen is gathered with the team. He is guiding them in a holy, fervent prayer. Still huddled together after the Amen, Bobby gives the players a boost by exhorting them, "Let's win this king game for Coach Cunningham." The players on the squad are soaking in all of the glitz and grandeur of this postseason game, which is taking place in a fancy location. When Brandon's two younger brothers and father arrive, Brandon is moved. Brandon is seen as the team's boisterous, assured leader. Jack is contentedly practicing his free throws by himself on a basketball court near the treatment facility. We watch Jack dribbling and running while the voiceover commentary from the Bishop Hayes playoff game plays. Jack is being credited for the progress this team has made. They credit Jack Cunningham's inspiration and leadership for the team's remarkable winning chances. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of The Way Back. Please leave a comment below of what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, lights, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.